As a result of my procedure, I have an overpowering urge to consume blood. Human blood.
In certain respects, I've succeeded far beyond anything I could have imagined. For the first time in my entire life, I feel good. Yesterday, I could barely walk. Today, I don't know what I'm capable of.
For a period of time after ingestion, my numbers are off the charts. I have the constitution of an Olympic athlete.
Increase described as superhuman. And all of this. I'm something. I feel a kinship part, but like a. I've even developed a form of echolocation, bat radar for the uninitiated. The question is, how do I control it?
Isolate it. Breathe. And let it go.
But unfortunately, this condition is temporary. I've been timing myself. Artificial blood keeps me stable for 6 hours. But that window is growing shorter. Artificial blood won't work forever. One question remains. What if? What if artificial blood becomes ineffective? What happens if I go without? No blue, no red, nothing. Eventually, my vitals drop precipitously and my illness returns with a vengeance. Soon, I'll face a choice. Drink the red or die. But what happened on that ship can't ever happen again.
Welcome to the Superhero Cinephiles podcast. I'm your host, Perry Constantine, and bringing on back one of our frequent guests, and that's John Bracich. Johnny, how you doing today?
Well, howdy. I'm okay. I just had a interesting day at the ER today, but we're not going to get into that. Let's just say I'm glad that's over, and I'm here talking with you. And let's just say the ER was more pleasurable than Morbius.
Yeah. So that kind of gives away the game, but yeah, it's Johnny. It's Morbin Time.
It's definitely something. It's definitely something. I'm so glad I did not pay for this movie. I don't give a shit. It should have never been released in the theater. Though I will say this, it's not as bad as I've been led to believe.
I don't know what you're talking about, Johnny. I mean, this is cinematic brilliance right here.
Wow,
I mean,
you're right. It's Citizen Kane. Okay,
it's Citizen Kane. This makes Citizen Kane look like a 3-year-old finger painting with his own shit. That is how good Morbius is. That is how groundbreaking it is.
Well, okay, we got to be honest. It's Citizen Kane in the same in the same planet of Bizarro Superman. Okay, if Bizarro Superman world came up with their version of Citizen Kane, this is the movie. In fact, I wouldn't even call this a movie. In fact, I'm sitting through this. I'll be honest. Yeah, I watched this a few days ago.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I watched this a few days. I didn't watch it today, which I should have again because it would have led me through the ER.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? I could not help stop thinking, and I'm gonna give you the best quote. Okay, I'm watching the movie. My mother walks in and I say, "Are you playing a new video game?" Now, folks, think about that. This was not really a movie. This was essentially watching a PlayStation 5 video game because that's what it came out to be. This is what it looked like. I mean, the dialogue, something out of a bit. Though I will say, I've heard better dialogue in a Kojima video game. Okay, I've staked the CGI was very good for a video game. The action, fantastic for a video game. Okay, the cutscenes, and I'm gonna call them that. They don't come out like a normal movie, and like suddenly, boom, and they hit all the. This was one of those quote unquote movies that you could predict 2 scenes ahead of time. Oh, that girl's gonna die. Oh, that poor nurse in the beginning. And what fucking hospital? Now, I'm in a hospital all the time. For your listeners, I'm physically sick and I got all sorts of shitty problems. Okay. But I've never been in a goddamn hospital where the nurses are walking and one light turns on and one light turns off.
That was so weird. That was a weird little thing. Yeah, I couldn't figure out.
No hospital does that. You're inviting problems, okay? Because hospital, even in the dead of night, there's some lights. There's none of this flickering shit, okay? When they showed that scene, you know what I thought of? The Ring. Because they literally ripped off a scene from The Ring. I think it was Ringo 2, where a part with a hallway where one light comes on, one light comes on, one light comes on, one light comes on. Like, well, fuck, that Japanese lady with the long hair is gonna show up and kill her, not Morbius.
I don't know. I don't know, Johnny. I hate to disagree with you, but this was. You know what? I can't keep this up. I can't. It's just no. I can't keep this up.
Because let me tell you something. If you're honest and you're saying that for real, give me the fucking name and number of your dealer. Because there is no goddamn way this piece of shit of a movie. And you know what? I've come to realize that Sean Bean, the actor, and Jared Harris have one thing in common.
What's that?
In almost everything they're in, they die in.
Oh, really? I never noticed that. I knew that about Sean Bean, but I didn't know that about Jared Harris.
The only exception for the role of Sean Bean that I can think of is Sharp, the TV series. But everything that Jared Harris is in, pretty much he's fucked. And I go, oh, there's Jared. He's gonna die. I just know it. Okay. And you're a Spider-Man fan, are you?
Oh, yeah.
And we both grew up reading Spider-Man, and we both read Morbius. Okay. I'm watching this and I'm thinking to myself, where the fuck are the army of other vampires? I mean, this thing really deviated from the comic.
Yeah, it's so I mean, first off, I got a bone to pick with the internet here, because not the people who are being ironic about it and saying it's the greatest movie ever, right? Those people, obviously they were taking the piss, right? That was clear from the from the
definitely
start.
Taking the piss. This movie's direct. Let me say this: the people that funded this movie were taking the piss. This is fucking clearly. You know what? I'm beginning to think that this is not really a real movie. This is a way for money laundering. I'm almost convinced that they produced this. They have paper receipts for the IRS. Because and what gets me is the director. He's not a bad director, but this was not his kind of movie. I mean, if you see the other movies he's made, they're completely different. And I know what you're going to tell me. And some of your listeners are really, oh God, shut up already, John. But hear me out. Yes, you can take a director who made a different kind of movie and make another kind of genre movie. But this guy, again, it just, it didn't. I don't think it clicked for him. They should have picked somebody else. And again, they went all over the place. I don't think they knew what to do. To be quite honest with you.
Yeah. There's a lot of that going on. But the problem I have with the internet here is people got my expectations up too high, because I was expecting, when I sat down to watch this movie, I was expecting something that was like spectacularly bad. All right. I was
Yes,
expecting
yes.
something that was like The Room levels of bad, or Sharknado levels of bad. You know, something that was just
Oh, that's
so
yeah.
unbelievably offensive in just how awful it is that it turns the corner and it becomes good. This is not that, right? It's not even spectacular. It's an excessively mediocre film, right? It feels like you don't remember back in the early aughts when there was like all these, you know, kind of like low effort superhero movies coming out, like Ghost Rider
Yes.
and that kind of. It's very much like that. It feels like I'm in a time machine and I've gone back to the early aughts and I'm seeing these really low effort superhero movie, one of those really low effort superhero movies that the studios were just cranking out.
It's like one of those bad Fantastic Four movies.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
You know,
in fact,
like
I'd say it's worse than that, because the Fantastic Four movies, even though they've got, well, maybe like the last one, the one that Josh Trank directed, but the ones with Chris Evans and Michael Chiklis, those ones were, they definitely had problems, don't get me wrong, but they were overall entertaining. You could sit down and watch them for the most part. This was just I fell asleep like 5 times watching this movie, and it's only 90 minutes.
Well, I'll tell you, this is, they try to snazz it up with the CGI because they knew they had a turd. So sometimes you just got to polish a turd, but this is one of those movies that, you know, you could have sworn was made for the Sci-Fi Channel.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that bad. Or it's one of those movies that you knew was going to do shit in the theaters. So forget that. It's going to go. This is one of those movies that back in the day, before streaming, would have been a direct-to-video release.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. The only reason this got a theatrical release was because it had the Marvel name on it.
Right. Which, again, I mean, spoiler alert here. We know towards the end, you had 2 of these after credit things. Not one, but 2 of them, as you recall.
Yeah.
Involving the Vulture.
Yeah.
You know, which I know it leads up to the multiverse shit with the Spider-Man.
But it doesn't even make sense with the multiverse.
It makes there's no connection. There's no real and how the fuck does the Vulture? Well, there's so many questions as to how did he get the tech, unless it's a parallel universe that the tech was already there. How would he connect with? Why would he pick Morbius? Why? That makes no sense. Like, I just saw him on the news. Maybe I'll go hitch up with a vampire to do it. And that's the other thing. It would go against the character of Morbius. The guy literally killed his best friend because the best friend became a vampire, right?
Yeah, I couldn't understand his motivation behind that. I mean, he does say, you know, I figured we should get a team together and do some good, but you know, it's the Vultures, and he's I don't know. It was just such a weird scene, and also like Michael Keaton in all this, you can tell he's just like, fuck, I'm under contract to do this shit.
Yeah, he's phoning it in. You can tell.
So phoning it in.
His eyes roll. His eyes, when he literally appears, it's like his eyes are like, fuck, I gotta do this. Yeah. No, I agree with you.
I mean, I think that's why they had him in the helmet in that last scene, because you could not even Michael Keaton, being as good of an actor as he is, not even he could cover up how stupid he felt saying those lines at the end.
It would make no sense. And, let's go. Like what motivation at this point does Morbius have kicking Spider-Man's ass?
He doesn't even know Spider-Man. There's no reference to Spider-Man at all in this universe.
Right.
But it's
exactly.
It's so and it doesn't make sense with, because you saw No Way Home, right?
No.
Oh, okay. You haven't seen No Way Home. All right. Well,
I'm a little behind, folks. Okay.
Well, I'm not going to spoil anything, but I'll just tell you that the way the spell worked in No Way Home, that the reason why all those characters from the other Spider-Man films started popping up in the MCU was because the spell went wrong, and instead of because Peter goes to Doctor Strange, and he wants to, and Doctor Strange agrees to help him by casting a spell to make the world forget that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Right. And during the spell, it goes wrong, and when it goes wrong, instead of making the world forget Peter Parker is Spider-Man, it starts bringing in everybody from different universes who know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. So that's why you get Dr. Octopus. That's why you get Norman Osborn. That's why you get Electro,
Right.
because they all know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. They discovered it in those other movies. So that's why they get drawn into the MCU. And they have an explanation for how Venom knows too, because Tom Hardy as Venom, he pops up at the end of No Way Home, just very briefly, and then he gets zapped back to his own reality. He also has a brief scene in Venom Let There Be Carnage where he gets transported out. The reason that happens is because in Let There Be Carnage, it's explained that the symbiote is connected to all the other symbiotes in the multiverse. So it knows, because the symbiote in the Raimi universe attached itself knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. That's how Venom symbiote knows it. So that's why he gets drawn in too, because the symbiote gets drawn in. So that made sense. But with Vulture, it's the complete opposite. He gets pushed out of the universe, but he knows who. So it doesn't make any sense. There's no reason for him to end up in that other universe.
And you got to be careful, because if they're gonna go pursue this further, it could fall apart on their hands very fast and could ruin Spider-Man. I hate to say that going forward. It could hurt the brand. Well, not
I don't think I don't think it'll do that. I mean, we had Spider-Man, they had Spider-Man 3 and all that. And I mean, they had the fucking, what was his name? Nicholas Hammond TV show, right? If that didn't kill Spider-Man, nothing's going to kill Spider-Man.
No, I'm not saying kill Spider-Man.
No, I know, but ruin it or anything like that.
No. Let me rephrase it, because I misspoke. They're trying to develop something with the Spidey universe. What is it called? The SSU? Because they're MCU, and then there's the Sony version of this.
Yeah.
And I know they're trying to build this up, but that's what I'm talking about. It could get ruined.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think Morbius pretty much ruined it already. I mean, I don't think the Venom movies are successful. They're doing well in their little niche, and I think they'll continue on with those. But after Morbius, because I was just reading a news article before we started recording, because with all the memes that were floating around about Morbius and all this kind of fake enthusiasm for it, Sony decided to re-release it in theaters. So it re-released it. It re-released it in 1,000 theaters over this past weekend, and it bombed twice. It's the second time this movie has bombed in the theaters.
Why would you re-release it based off of memes that are making fun of? That makes no fucking sense.
It doesn't. No, I guess they thought that they could capitalize on the memes, and yeah, it did not. It did not work. But to show you this, that's kind of emblematic of how many bad decisions are made around this movie. I mean, to give you an example of how bad the decision-making process is with this movie, Tyrese Gibson, he plays Simon Stroud, who's a character from the comics. Now, in the comics, Simon Stroud's just a regular guy. He's a white guy. He's a cop who ends up getting involved with Morbius in a few different times. In this movie, they gave him kind of like a cybernetic arm, which all the scenes involving it were cut. And that's not something from the comics. That's something they just decided to throw in for some reason. And Tyrese said that the producers made the character black for the express purpose of being able to cast Tyrese Gibson. Now,
okay,
the point I'm making here is, you don't go out of your way to cast Tyrese Gibson. Tyrese Gibson is the guy you cast when you can't get a good actor to play the part.
I didn't click, but holy shit, yeah. Well, again, this just merely highlights the people behind this movie, and I'm going to include the director.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to include the producers of the two, right? Everybody involved in this. I don't think they understood really the material that they had.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're going to try and shove through. Basically, they're going to make a long buffet table, and that buffet table is going to be this poisoned piece of meat floating about. Okay? and that's what I'm fearing. But honestly, I got a feeling they're gonna make another one of these.
I don't think so. I mean, it's just it bombed so badly. I don't think it's
You don't
possible.
think they're gonna make a sequel?
No, it bombed twice in the theaters. They're not going to try again.
I hope you're right. I
think they're gonna. Yeah, I think they're just going to try and forget this ever happened.
Because quite frankly, I could see them doing it only because like, well, what if we just get a new director? What if we get we just change it up a little, add more CGI, you know? Which is the other thing. I granted it made him look cool, or not cool. It made him look interesting, but you know, Leto did not want to go through the prosthetics or anything. And I think that had to do because of his experience at Suicide Squad when they had him as the Joker. Right? I mean, they dialed him up on the two with the teeth and the whole get up and everything.
Right.
You know.
I'm not sure. Man. I can't find anything about why they decided to.
Because he did not. He opened. That was one of the things that held up the movie was he did not want prosthetics.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that he said he didn't want prosthetics.
He refused it. No, he refused it. I'll tell you who actually did better than Leto was Matt Smith.
Oh, there's one of the memes that said that Matt Smith has been admitted to the hospital for back injuries after carrying this entire movie on his shoulders.
Because honestly, guy, he's a great character actor. I don't know why Hollywood doesn't even use him even more. He's just but good. I know.
You know the funny thing though about this is, so his character's name is Lucian, but
yes,
you know. And him and Michael Morbius, they both have the same rare blood disease, which and they meet when they're kids at this like special facility in Greece for some reason. Yeah. I don't know why. And because I thought it was because I think I can't remember. I think in the comics he was maybe not Greek. I think he was from somewhere in. I'm just double checking.
He's a different character in the comic. I mean, in the comic book, Lucian is Hunger.
Well, yeah, I'm getting to that. There's a little bit more to it than that. So yeah, he was born in Greece. The character's Michael Morbius is from Greece. So I thought like they were going to start with that, the idea that he actually is Greek, but you know, the kid's speaking with an American accent, so it's obviously not.
Well, don't you know they had to use the Greek kids to be the bullies out in the school next door?
Didn't those also have American accents too?
I don't know. I tuned out, but I could have sworn. Well, that would be dumb on a cost. I mean, if they really filmed this in Greece, which I doubt it, I suspect it's somewhere else. But if they did, to fly in a bunch of American kids to play Greek kids in Greece, you know, which honestly, I also found the whole premise of the Greek kids being mean to be like, what? I've never seen that before. Oh yeah, let's pick on the cripple kid.
Yeah, it was just they needed a stock bullying scene type of thing.
Yeah. I mean, what trope do we have in our garbage bag of tropes here? What can we pull out?
So the story about Hunger, you're right. Originally, Matt Smith was announced to be playing Hunger, who is a character in the comics. He was a scientist who gets bitten by Morbius, and he ends up gaining similar powers to Morbius. But what they did was they'd kind of made him into a composite character. So they'd combined elements of other characters like Emil Nikos and Vic Slaughter, who were both, I'm not sure about Nikos, but Vic Slaughter was definitely one of Morbius's villains in his solo series in the 90s. So, but you know what? Here's the thing. Because the Hunger's real name in the comics is Lakshas Crown. Here they name him Lucian, which is it's so on the nose, right? I mean, you're naming a character Lucian. Obviously, he's going to end up being the fucking villain.
Right. And you know what? That's like one of those names that have been ruined by fiction. You know, it's like naming your you know, if you name your son Jeeves, he's fucked. You know, or something like that. Of course, you can't name him Adolf anymore either.
Right.
But that's the other thing that got me was I could have sworn the girl would have been I haven't read a Morbius comic.
Martine Bancroft. Yeah, she's also from the comics.
But wouldn't she be the daughter of the Jared Harris character, Dr. Nicholas, was I'm pretty sure supposed to be Dr. Nichols in the comic book. And the daughter's supposed to hate Morbius for killing him.
I
And
don't
I
think
mean, I could be
that's-
wrong. It's been about 25 years since I read that, but I'm
Mhm.
pretty sure they kind of messed that, they twisted that around.
So she wasn't so yeah, okay, so Nikos, yeah, I found it here. She wasn't his daughter, but she was his assistant. And then she ended up being turned into a similar creature. But yeah, that would have been more interesting because, you know, as good as Matt Smith is, Milo is just such an obvious copy of Morbius, right? There's nothing unique about him other than Matt Smith's performance. Other than that, it's just like you literally they didn't have a character who was enough of a mirror image to Morbius, so they took these other characters, made it a composite, and basically gave him the exact same story as Morbius.
Not only that, they picked, you know, that's another thing, Lucian. So you basically picked the same villain bat name for a vampire name from Underworld.
Right? Yeah.
You know.
Well, also too, I don't understand why you're going with the whole Milo nickname thing either, because it's stupid. I mean, it just makes it undermines the whole idea of their friendship to begin with, because right from the start, you know, Morbius is always referring to this guy who's supposedly his best friend by this name he just gives every sick kid who comes into the fucking hospital.
You know, what gets me is they name these people, you know, there was I don't know if you ever watched Rick and Morty.
Not really, no.
Okay, but they have such obvious names for so-called hidden vampires. Oh, you're never gonna figure it out. Like they had one called Coach Ferratu. Like Coach Ferratu. Even the vampire master goes, like, couldn't you name him like Jim Jefferson or something? Coach Ferratu, that's not fucking obvious, he goes. And it's hitting Lucian. Again, if he's supposed to be Greek, you know, is Lucian a Greek first name?
Not that I know of.
And again, he sounds British.
Yeah.
So, you know, so even
and Michael Morbius is supposed to be Greek, but yet he's American. He sounds American.
He sounds like he's from Connecticut, you know. And that's the other thing. Forgive me, Jared Leto. You've done some great roles, but you know, it's like you took a garbage bag of sativa before doing. You know, Morbius was more, you know, like full of vim and vinegar. You know, you're letting the CGI go. Yeah, he looks. He's showing the teeth. He looks angry. He doesn't fucking act angry.
Yeah.
He's like, he acts more like, I know, like, okay, I gotta figure out how to act angry. I'm gonna charge him.
You know what? After seeing him in Suicide Squad and then Zack Snyder's Justice League, and seeing how he is when he overcommits to a role, and then seeing this when he's obviously, you know, he's just so obvious being so fucking lazy with it. I honestly don't know which is worse. Because I'm on the one hand, it's such a boring performance. There's nothing of interest in this performance that Leto brings. Nothing stands out whatsoever. He's just a guy basically, and he's just kind of like, you know, reciting the lines very dryly. But I don't know if that's better or if that's worse than him doing his whole method acting, over exuberant type of shit like he did with Joker. They're both bad. I mean, it's just like, you know what, Jared Leto, it's time to fucking stop. I think it's probably the advice I would give.
Take a break. Don't do any more superhero movies. Anything that involves a cape, walk away.
Well, I don't know. I heard House of Gucci. He was awful in House of Gucci as well. So maybe just take a break from acting in general.
Oh, I haven't seen House of Gucci, but
neither have I. But I heard it's terrible, and especially he's like one of the reasons it's so terrible. But this also movie, like that. You know what the weird thing too is, like the Nobel Prize, right? It's like called the Nobel Prize or something like that. Like they completely mispronounce one of the most well-known things. Is it because the Nobel community heard about this movie? It's like, hey, you better not fucking get that pronunciation.
You know what?
Right.
That's how radioactive. They would sooner have not be mentioned in this movie than to award a war criminal. Okay. I mean, they feel more better giving Henry Kissinger
Yeah.
the Nobel Peace Prize than to allow her name to be uttered in this trash.
We're like,
And-
okay, Henry Kissinger giving Kissinger the Nobel Peace Prize. We can defend that. We stand behind that. Having our name in Morbius, no. That's where we
Yeah,
draw the line.
right. Yeah, no. Let's give the guy who dropped bombs on babies. He gets it. Not Jared Leto. Not this fucking movie. No way. No how. And that's the other thing. Oh, you told off. You didn't take that. Why even go to the fucking thing?
Mhm.
There is a history, actual case of people not accepting it
Yeah,
by not showing up and sending in a thing. I don't want the damn prize.
right.
You
Yeah.
know, which again, on what grounds would you deny the Nobel Prize?
Mhm.
Are you upset that the guy that did it made dynamite
Mhm.
200 years ago? What is your upset? You're literally in an industry that
Also,
kills animals.
I couldn't understand why there's this big fear of vampire bats, because vampire bats are not that fucking dangerous to humans, and
No,
yet
they
they're
don't-
acting. Yeah, I mean, like every now and then you get this case where rabies can be transmitted by vampire bat bites, but it's like at most you had like 55 cases, and that was like the most you've ever had, and in a year, and only less than 1% of the bats carry rabies to begin with. So it's just
And
like
why
the risk of
darkness?
infection.
That's
The risk
another
of
thing
here we go
that-
here. The risk of infection to the human population is less than to livestock exposed to bat bites. So, and yet they're acting like these vampire bats are so dangerous to humans and all this. I'm like,
But
wait
are
a
they
second.
special? Wait a minute. And this is the other thing. If the vampire bats exist underneath New York as well, why are you going to some place called the Valley of the Dead?
No,
in
I think
South
those
America?
were the ones that he had brought out of Costa Rica.
Oh,
That's
okay.
how I
Okay,
read
that,
it.
that makes well. Even so, why would you do that if you care for people? If you think the vampire bats need to be secured away. Oh no, I'll just release them into the fucking subway.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, and no, and you're right. All you gotta do is watch National Geographic. These bats, they're like little flying dogs in a way.
Mhm.
You have a better chance of getting a rabies from the Lasso Apso across the street than you do
Mhm.
this thing. And that's the other thing. Vampire bats don't exist in some remote area in South America
Mhm.
where we gotta get out of here at nighttime.
Yeah.
That's the other thing I could. Why do the bats emerge into a giant bat and come after the helicopter?
Mhm.
What's gonna happen? Is there some Dracula hangs out there? What do you give us? You gotta get out at night for?
Mhm.
Oh, give me my money now. Well, how did you get? That's the other part I couldn't figure out in the beginning, which that told me automatically, oh, this movie's gonna be terrible. The internet was right.
Mhm.
Because any situation where you get a helicopter to come and deliver goods to you, and then they ask for the money,
Mhm.
which was a wad of cash.
Yeah,
Come on.
that was just really bizarre too.
I mean,
Also, I don't understand why Morbius is going there himself in person to do that. It seems like a weird thing to do if you got this rare blood disease that needs you to walk around with crutches to go to taken by helicopter to this remote bat cave in Costa Rica.
Right, you'd be dead of typhoid or
Mhm.
something. Or I mean, Christ's sake, it's just and that's the other thing. If you need to get blood transfusions 3 times a day, how the hell did you get down there from a helicopter ride that probably took 3 hours at the minimum?
Yeah.
They
I'm guessing that the artificial blood he developed is probably lessened the need for the 3 times a day treatment, because that was it when he was a kid. So I think it's that artificial blood that made his treatment a little bit less urgent, right? Didn't have to have it like round the clock like before. But again, this is the problem. A lot of the stuff is not really explained very well, but then they explain other stuff in way too much detail, like him. For example, I mean, taking a ship onto international waters to do these experiments. First off, I don't think a ship's really going to have the kind of power needs you need for that kind of medical equipment. Second, I mean, I know ships have stabilizers and stuff, but this is just a regular cargo ship. This isn't a cruise ship, so it doesn't seem like the best place to be, conducting these types of. It seems like it would have been a lot more difficult to do that, right?
I would argue that if you already have a lab and you already backed up by some rich guy who can hide things, why not just do it there?
Yeah,
Why do you have to go?
It seems
you've
so
already-
weird. Because they see that they're trying to cover it, and it doesn't seem to help anyway, because they're like, oh, there's some illegal experimentation going on the ship. It's like, well, then what was the point of international waters in the first place?
Listen, the only reason you need international waters is to have monkey knife fights. Okay, that's it. You want two monkeys to fight with a knife, or if you want to have, a racing horse fight a bull, or or have illegal, midget wrestling to the death. Okay, you get the point. Not for fucking scientific research. What were you bobbing and weaving? And let's be honest, that lab did not look sanitary if you're working on blood.
No, not at all. Well, especially because he goes. It seems like he jumps directly from, we have this serum, it works in the computer models. Now we're going straight to testing it on myself. Usually they, at least have like some animal trials there or something in between.
Right, put a dog.
Yeah.
Put a, if you're willing to do fucking mice, what? You couldn't find a guinea pig, go up one level, just guinea pig, hamster, or get a pig, or some goddamn thing, oh no, we're gonna get the boat, we gotta get the fucking boat. And wait a minute, that's the other thing. How far in international waters were they? Were the
just a few miles off, because they said it was like they were like 19 miles off the coast or something like that.
Look at you're telling me they couldn't have an underground lab again? Why leave New York? If he was gonna test himself, human testing, right? Okay, if you're picking people who are volunteering, but if you're gonna fucking do it on yourself, why are you going with the boat?
Yeah,
just do it there.
And so Matt Smith, this is what's, I kind of feel bad for him, because he had turned down so many other roles in superhero movies, and then he finally joins this one because of the director, and also because Karen Gillan, who worked with him on Doctor Who, also encouraged him to give a superhero movie a try. And then it's this piece of shit. You want
another one
after this? I don't know. Maybe. Doubt it though.
Would he want to do another one?
He didn't really want to do one before, it seems. I also don't understand what the point is of the two FBI agents. They really don't serve any consequential role in the story.
They add nothing.
Nothing.
Again, it's sort of like, and I'm going to go back to the same thing we said a moment ago. We'll go. And it's this. It's a hastily put together. It's a bunch of little movies in a way, or let's go to the movie. It's like every week or every day, or no, every week they had a meeting. Okay, let's make the movie go in this direction. Then a week later, that didn't work. Let's make the movie go in that direction. And that's what it seems to be. It's like a movie designed by committee.
Yeah. And yeah, it's just, and also you had Bancroft in there, Martine. What's weird is that I'm reading on Wikipedia, and Adria, I'm probably mispronouncing the actress's name, but Adria Arjona, she said that she took inspiration for her character from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And I'm like, what? Where does that come from? Yeah. Where do you even make that connection? I don't get that.
Well, yeah. Well, don't you know, Perry? Don't you know that she dabbles in vampirism? Don't you know that at night, when she's done in legislative, she flies back to New York and fights crime, probably using the name Vampirella. Now that's a comic movie I would like to see, but they probably fucked that one up too.
Oh, they already did.
Okay, well,
there was a Vampirella movie like in the mid '90s, I think, with Talisa Soto.
I don't want to watch it.
No, apparently it was terrible.
Yeah, I don't want to watch it. But is it because Ayo, where is the connection? I think she just said that because they asked her a question. Again, it's indicative of everything connected to the movie. Let's pull something out of our ass.
Yeah.
And see.
I don't know. Maybe she does kind of look like her. So is she just trying to campaign for eventually playing AOC in a biopic? Maybe.
That's not the way to do it, Perry.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
That's
I'm
just
just
not the
trying.
way
I'm
to
just
do
trying to
it.
figure out why you would even
Because
go
because
there.
if you're the casting director and you say actress, it says AOC. Well, what the fuck's gonna come up? Her name,
Hmm.
the actress's name, with Morbius. Oh
Yeah.
no, we're not using her. She was in Morbius. Fuck that. You know, I'd sue her. No, 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 no. And again, it doesn't look like a movie to me. Anybody that watches this, it looks more like a video game.
Hmm.
It just, I mean, compare the fight scenes in the Spider-Man movies or any of the Marvel movies and compare it to this. I dare you.
Well, I mean, there's no stakes at all in this. Like, it never feels like there's any sort of character journey that happens in this movie.
There is no character development
No.
except for Matt Smith's. Matt Smith's character is the only one that goes from a pathetic kid to psychopathic vampire
Yeah.
who's got a god complex.
Which is another
Whereas-
thing too. I couldn't understand why you've got this thing where he's like involved in all this, crime and stuff like that, and how I couldn't understand where that idea comes from.
Yeah, what
It
happened
seems-
to the Russians?
Yeah, it just seems to come out of nowhere.
Oh, I got a bodyguard for the fucking Russians. You would think instead of the bar scene, you'd have him deal with the Russians.
Mhm.
In fact, I'll be honest, in a way, I wished Milo survived the goddamn movie and not Jared Leto. Because
Yeah.
again, he comes in, and yes, I know the vampires don't sleep. I get it, I get it. But Jared Leto literally looks like he doesn't sleep. Not
Yeah.
the vampire. He literally looks like he's coming in like, oh my God, I worked on a term paper all night.
Mhm.
That's how he looks. He doesn't look like, like I'm running for him. Like he looked like a bottle of NyQuil or some fucking thing. And and I'm sorry, but the girl always looked annoyed.
She
Even when
did,
she
yeah.
was with them.
Yeah.
She looked like I see that there's a work at Arby's. You
Mm.
know what I mean? That. And then of course they went with these con artists who are dealing off with the fake money.
Mhm.
Remember that scene? Well,
Yeah.
of course, the waitress, why would you take the money? You don't have to take the money.
Mhm.
I'm like, well, that's bullshit. I mean, well, maybe she's corrupt. Okay, fine. She takes the money and he follows her. And then he then goes and takes a blood bag from an ambulance. Motherfucker, what if they were using it to help somebody?
Mhm.
Right? You just had the goddamn blood. You're taking it from an ambulance. Honestly, I wish those con guys were basically going in there stealing blood or some shit like that instead of counterfeiting.
Yeah.
And he turns that into a lab. Well, I'm gonna, the thing spins around and all that shit. Anyways, it's just I thought that was dumb.
Yeah. I mean,
I,
I'm trying to figure out. I don't know why Jared Harris is even in this movie.
well, you know what? It's in between his Apple TV show,
I guess.
which he's very good in that. But again, I think he shows up everywhere. He's like the sci-fi version of Michael Caine.
Mhm.
Michael Caine used to show up during the 60s and 70s in almost every fucking movie. You could trip over Michael Caine in almost any movie you see, from Zulu
Mhm.
to some offbeat to Jaws 3. Okay? He did all this stuff. And I'm saying this with Jared Harris. He shows up in The Expanse with the worst South African accent you ever heard.
Mhm.
He's in Foundation. But like I said, in every goddamn thing, well, maybe I forgot if Expanse he dies. But I know in everything else he's in, he gets clipped.
Mhm.
That I've seen at least. And as for the plot, again, where are you going with this movie? Is it to set up? Because it's obviously to set something up.
Yeah, that's it. The only thing I can think of is Sony is still so fixated on this idea of doing a Sinister Six movie because
Why?
I don't know. I don't, because they got nothing else. That's the only thing I can think of. They want to have that. They want to have that that bite of the Marvel pie, but they don't. All they have is the Spider-Man characters. And
you know what? If I would do if I was Sony, fuck the Marvel movies. Give it back. Sell it to Disney. You get a good change, okay, and work on. You have your own IP, believe it or not, that they could use. A Horizon Zero Dawn movie. Something with Kratos. Yeah, you're gonna tell me you're not gonna have like a movie based on one of your PlayStation properties? You could do it. You don't. Your studios are bleeding money.
Mhm.
You know, Sony's not exactly a super healthy company. They're very
N-
secular.
They've
Okay.
they've and it's so weird where they've fallen because they used to be like the biggest name in all these areas, but now
Right.
even in video games, like with the PS5, having so much trouble getting units out, while meanwhile Microsoft is now gobbling up all these game studios and the Xbox. What's the current one? I
You
don't even
can
know.
find him here because Microsoft did the smart thing. I mean, I know we're veering off the topic from Morbius here, but there's a Sony connection here. Trust me, gang. We're gonna get to it. So bear with us. Microsoft decides to basically, we saw this sort of coming, so they said we're gonna outbid everybody at the semiconductor company to make the chips,
Oh, I see.
and that's how they got their. I could walk into any store here and get an Xbox Series S, and I just got an X. Okay, and you're able. And now they're announcing a newer system, which is going to be basically you plug in the back of your TV that looks like a little thumb drive.
Oh, okay.
You know. Meanwhile, Sony says we're gonna start to be okay by 2023, and they're losing money. That's why they announced all these IPs are going to PC.
Right. Oh, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
They announced it. Now I know as a shareholder of Sony, I know for a fucking fact that unless that PlayStation brand really helps them, the only other moneymaker they have is their life insurance company. They are the GE of Japan.
Yeah.
So PlayStation has to really take off. And right now they're in trouble. You know, there is demand for the product. So what do? They got to leverage. So the only thing they got are the movie studios. And right now, they've done nothing with the X-Men.
No, they don't have X-Men. That was Fox.
They don't need that. Is right. That was Fox. So
Yeah.
That's right. Excuse me. Forgive me, gang. Forgive me.
You're literally like the second person in like as many weeks who has made that same mistake. So don't worry, you're not alone.
Well, you know, I'm glad Fox got rid of it, but even so, what are you gonna do with a partial universe? It's like I bought half of a McDonald's, and that's not the one that works. Or you got an incomplete product here. You literally have an incomplete. You cannot, even if you go forward, the fact that you've already connected with the MCU, okay, means that you're gonna have to rely on them down the road more. Because you've already established this. Spider-Man appeared in Civil War. He appeared in Endgame. He appeared in all these movies.
Right.
Right? Okay. And I'm pretty sure, again, they would make so much more money. In fact, I would do this. This way, let somebody else remake Morbius. Look, if you can remake Batman 500 times, you can do Morbius. Okay? Remake, in fact, I find it hilarious. And gang, look this up. Go on the Internet Movie Database. The fan film versions of Morbius score higher than the actual one from an actual. Yes, go look them up. They're all short films, and they all get like an 8. Okay, there was one that came out in 2014. In fact, that's it. And they're shorter films. Look them up. They're probably on YouTube, and they got higher scores. Okay, dump it. It's a depreciating asset. Fuck them. Give it to Marvel. They'll pay you big money. In fact, if you still really want to make money in a superhero thing, pick another genre. I mean, DC, work with them or something, but well, maybe not. Don't bother with that. No, that's not. That's radioactive too right now. But your forte is not superhero movies. It's your IPs. Work on them.
Well, I mean, and it's just like Morbius himself is not a character that really suits himself to. I mean, look, they had to scrape the bottom of the barrel to even find a villain for this movie, and then they just basically created an original character to begin anyway.
You know what Morbius would have been greatest. Okay.
Well, the original plan was he should have been he was supposed to be the villain in Blade 2.
Yeah, well, I obviously dropped the ball on that one.
Oh yeah, obviously, but that was the original plan. Like he was do you remember you saw Blade 2, right?
I've seen all the Blade. I got them. In fact, Perry, I just picked up the box set for $8.
Well,
and they threw in Goonies.
So you had so remember in Blade 2, you had the Jared Nomak character, right? The lead Reaper. he was originally, the original script was he was supposed to be Morbius. Morbius was supposed to be that, what that experimentation led to.
Why didn't they do that?
Because originally Stephen Norrington was supposed to direct Blade 2 because he had also directed the first one, and he actually was going to have Morbius appear in like in a cameo at the end of the first Blade movie. But then when he decided not to appear, right, I don't think they ever even filmed that cameo. And then obviously the script for the second one was completely changed. I'm not sure if it was because of Del Toro was changed, or if it was because Goyer decided, or if it was because of rights issues with Morbius or what. But whatever the case, Morbius never ended up in Blade 2.
Now picture that. Go ahead, let everybody picture that. Imagine a Blade with Morbius right now. How better that would have been this pile of stinking shit that this is. Huh? And not only that, well, are they redoing Blade?
Yeah, Mahershala Ali is going to be playing him in the MCU.
See, in all honesty, instead of the fucking Vulture showing up at the end, should have been Blade.
They can't because they don't have the rights to that, because that's MCU. Because if they wanted to have, they have the rights to Vulture
again,
because the deal is Sony has all the rights to all the Spider-Man characters. The deal with Marvel they have is that Marvel gets creative control over the Spider-Man solo films, and they can use Spider-Man in MCU films. But then Sony still has full control over all the other Spider-Man movies. So even though Marvel created the Vulture for this version of the Vulture for the MCU, Sony owns the rights to that character in that iteration.
Again, they should just sell it back to the Marvel, to Disney. Ask for a garbage bag full of money, whatever you want. Because I'm willing to bet you Marvel would like that back.
Oh, absolutely. Are you kidding?
Okay.
Disney would be quicker to buy that back than they were with Fox, I think.
Okay.
Because Spider-Man is probably the most recognizable Marvel character.
Right. Ask for top dollar, you'll get it. Use the money to build up. Again, would you sooner see another movie like Morbius where they take another Spider-Man property, ring it through the sewage? Or would you sooner them take one of their, like a God of War movie?
I mean, honestly, at this point, Sony's, screwed up so many movies that I just wish they'd sell off. They just sell off the movies. They just get out of the movie making business in general. Farm out the IP to other studios and let them do it.
And you know what? You're not the only person that has raised that.
Mm-hmm.
There's many shareholders that have been telling them you're bleeding money, get rid of it, and they won't do it because they think, we can build it up to sell some other shit from like their PlayStation. You don't need that.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me. Just get rid of it. Or like I said, you have a whole stable now of IPs you can use. In fact, they are doing that. They're making a Last of Us movie, I think it is, or show.
Right, yeah.
You know what? That's the other thing with this Morbius. Would you have been better off with a motion picture or an animated movie? Let me ask you that.
I mean, this one, neither.
Forget the plot.
Okay.
No,
I think doing Morbius in live action, that's perfectly fine. It's not a character that I think you'd have to do in animation. I think you could easily do it in live action because you don't need as big of a budget for this as you do for other characters. I think you can easily do Morbius in live action in a way that works. It's just this wasn't the way to do it.
Would this movie have been better off as an animated movie?
No, nothing would have made this movie better.
Nothing would have made this better. Yeah. There's no saving this movie.
There's nothing like it's not that it's a terrible movie. It's just that it's so bland. There's nothing here.
It's mediocre. The word you're looking for is
excessively mediocre. It's so mediocre, right? It's like I don't even know how to describe it. It's just so, it's the dry toast of superhero movies, right? It's just, it's not like, you go look at some of the DC movies, right? Like, Batman v Superman. They're fucking terrible, god awful movies. But you know what? You can kind of watch them because of how terrible they are. But you watch something like this and it's not even that it's bad. It's just there.
You could sleep through the movie.
I did. 5 times I fell asleep through this movie. It took me like 3 hours to watch the fucking thing because I kept falling asleep.
and you miss nothing. You literally could wake up and it's like one scene 15 minutes ago could have been a continuation
Oh,
for a
exactly.
scene. I mean, because it's the same thing in loop. Oh, we're gonna eat some people. Fast forward. Kill. I mean, eat drink some people. Keep forward. Oh, and again, you could predict everything that's gonna happen down the line with this goddamn movie.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what I experienced, because every time I'd fall asleep and I'd wake up and I'd see I'm at, oh crap, I got to go back. I'd go back, rewind, I'd watch what I missed, then I'd be like, okay, well, I didn't really miss anything. I could have basically figured that out just from inferring.
You know what this movie is? This movie can serve a purpose, though. We have to find a shining light here, okay?
Mhm.
And it's this: if you're doing the dishes and you need background noise, there you go.
I mean, I wouldn't
If
even
you're-
put on that. There's so many other movies that it'd be better, because if you're putting on something for background noise, it's something you've seen a lot and you generally enjoy, and you can just kind of like, glance over every now and then and be like, oh yeah, that's a good scene. But this one, there's nothing good about it. There's just nothing that
There's more plot development and character development in one of those YouTube live feeds of fish than there is this movie. I hate to say it, but that's the truth. And again, you fucked up on the guy's powers.
Mhm.
You fucked up on the villain.
Yeah, the
You
bat
fucked
control
up-
was so weird. I couldn't figure out where that came
Yeah.
from.
All this stuff. Oh, again, I feel bad for Matt Smith.
Yeah.
I don't feel bad for Jared Harris. I think he does it to pay up gambling debts or something. I don't know. But Matt Smith, I honestly, I don't know what he's gonna do now. Could you even use him in an MCU? You could use him in an MCU movie. Just you can't use him as the same character.
Right. You couldn't use the same character because Sony owns the rights. But I mean, yeah, I mean, he's such a good actor. I mean, why not? If he wants to, if he'd be willing to do another superhero movie after this, I mean, that's the question. But you know what? Also, too,
So where do we go?
this is the thing too about Morbius, is that Morbius in the comics, he's got this very
he's different.
conflicted story, right? This whole idea of like, I have to drink blood to survive, but I don't want to hurt anyone, so I end up preying on criminals, right? And like the whole moral quandary about that. And that's stuff that just doesn't exist in this movie. That
I
moral
would have
dilemma does
loved
not
to
exist.
see that. See, in an odd way, Matt Smith was doing that. In an odd way, not with criminals, mind you,
Mhm.
but it's something that Leto should have been doing with criminals. You could have had a bunch of examples, a girl getting mugged or something bad,
Mhm.
or those guys stealing blood out of an ambulance. That would have been ironic, but some other shit. I mean, I don't know if I would kill somebody over counterfeit $100 bills, but what if they were running a meth lab? What
Right.
if it was child porn? What if it was something? You're telling me you couldn't have come up with more angles for him to fight this conflict? I guess. Although the only time you ever see this conflict in him is when he has to tell the lady. That's it. When he has to tell his, what's her name?
Martine.
Martine. That's how bad that movie is. I can't remember her name. That I feel I don't want to do this. The fake blood's gonna wear out. I'm gonna have to start doing it. But fuck, don't tell that. That's too much exposition. Just go find some bad guys, drink their blood, and then be done with that.
Mhm.
I mean, and then that movie was filmed in a time where you could have gone after skinheads or right wing idiots or some fucking thing. Even just your bank rob. Well, maybe not a bank robber, but you know what I mean.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
and I think, because what has Sony done? Like, I'm looking over their list of movies. Like I mean, they've got the Jumanji films, and I guess that they still have the Bond film license.
I don't think so. I gotta check.
But they've got the Jumanji films, and that's basically. Well, I'm not sure. I didn't see the new Ghostbusters yet. Have you seen that?
No, but I find it interesting. You know what? There's a weird thing with that movie. They had pumped that movie up over a year and a half ago before
Mhm.
release, and then it completely disappeared. Well, obviously because of the pandemic.
Right.
And then there was hints of them going to streaming. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, like 6 months ago or 3 months ago, you saw ads for this movie everywhere.
Mhm.
And they had it in theaters for like literally 2 weeks. and now I'm seeing it online for streaming.
Mhm.
So, I don't know what happened there. It's like, that's another thing that they fucked up. Because now you can buy all 3 movies in one set for $5 at my Walgreens. But which I may go and that's what I'm gonna pick up. But the thing is, that's another one they're going to destroy. I hate to say that because they're not doing anything with Ghostbusters. They sat on this movie. You could have streamed it
Mhm.
because everybody was streamed it, and then you make your money with the sequel.
Right. But I mean, they've got all these, like, I'm looking over the list of stuff they own the rights to. Like, they own the Equalizer. They did good with that. Those are good. But they've got the Terminator rights. They're not really doing anything with that.
They were terrible with the Terminator movies.
Right.
I'm not.
But I mean,
not
they've got Dragon Ball, right? They haven't done, other than the shitty
was a
live action
shitty
movie.
movie.
Right. But that's another property they're not doing anything with. The Jump Street series is done. That was good though. The Insidious series, I don't know if those are still going or not. I think they're done with those.
I mean, I'll tell you another bad one, and I don't know if it qualified. Well, I mean, not bad, but it was not great. Was Uncharted, which again, a Sony video game property that was not done. I mean, I hate to say it, but Wahlberg was better in Father Stew than he was in Uncharted. I mean, that movie was so miscast.
Well, I mean, they've also got the Men in Black license too. They made that Men in Black International. That was not that great.
No, again, it's you know what? It's sort of like if you find out Sony's going to be involved, you don't want nothing to do with this movie.
Yeah, I mean, the only franchises they seem to really having any success with. So they do have the Bond franchise, but now that iteration
Resident
is
Evil. That's the only one. They're the 2 most, from what I can tell, that have been really successful besides the Venom movies in terms of making money, has been the Resident Evil and Hotel Transylvania.
No, I'd say the Jumanji films.
And the Jumanji films, but
because actually, yeah, the Resident Evil one doesn't appear on their list of 25 highest grossing films, but the Jumanji films, Venom, and that's probably it. Those are like the only, and the Bond series, but that version of it is gone now. So who knows what's going to happen with it going forward?
They should just buy a successful studio, transfer all their movies to that, shut that down because they don't know what the fuck they're doing. I'm sorry, they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, what are you gonna do? I mean, what is their next movie in terms of coming up? It's with a superhero.
Oh, with superheroes, I have no idea. I know they've been talking about doing Black Cat for a while. Also, Spider-Woman has been in the talks for a while. I think the next thing that actually got going is the sequel to Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh, you know they're gonna run with that.
Right. That's been doing well. Craven. They've got Craven coming out soon with Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Oh boy, that's gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
What have you heard anything about that?
No, I haven't heard anything about it, so I don't know what's happening with it. I mean, it's supposedly coming out next year in January. Across the Spider-Verse is coming next summer. Apparently, they're also doing Madam Web is the other one that's next up. That's for next summer as well. Starring Dakota Johnson. This is the weird one, El Muerto, with musician Bad Bunny. Like, this is an obscure Spider-Man character that was introduced in 2006, and he's like a Mexican wrestler, and they're giving him his own movie because they're trying to capitalize, I guess, on this musician's success, which is just, I mean,
go straight to Telemundo.
Probably. What I don't understand is why don't they just try to get Emma Stone to be the Gwen Stacy Spider-Woman and do a Ghost Spider movie or something?
Now that would be nice.
I mean, it's just like it's such an obvious thing, right? Do that. Do a Ghost Spider movie with, an actress everybody loved in the role, with a character everybody loved from the comics and from Into the Spider-Verse. It's a no-brainer, but they're giving us El Muerto instead, and I don't get why. It's just more proof of just how little sense they're operating with at that studio.
They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. Well, I mean
they're
again,
like,
going back to, right? I mean, you specifically take this character, make him black so that you can cast Tyrese Gibson, who's like one of the worst fucking black actors you can find.
Well, again, I'm beginning to suspect this movie is a producer's situation. Remember the producers, the play, the movie? Do you remember that where they make a bad play?
Oh, yeah.
I'm telling you, Perry, this is so bad that I think it was intentionally sad because like, we need something to slush some money around.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
the Uwe Boll film strategy.
Yes, I'm telling you, this is what maybe you gotta bring back Uwe Boll. You know, I don't know, but I'll tell you one thing: this movie was not designed or made to make money.
It's just like, yeah, and it's just Jared Leto. Just stop, please, just stop. It's just like
he needs a break. He needs a break. He needs to take some vitamins. Because if you see what he looks like outside of the movies, he looks like he's got problems. You know, Jared Leto. I mean, trying to think now what the fuck last good movie I liked him in.
I mean, he was okay in the Blade Runner
American
sequel.
Psycho. That's it. You know,
no, I was gonna say the Blade Runner sequel.
Yes. See, that's interesting. You brought that up. Okay. See, there, he does play an interesting villain. He's not a good guy.
Right.
Get this straight out of it. In most of these movies, he comes off as a creep, even when he's a good guy. Okay. Yes, he's good at changing his personality, literally becoming somebody else. But even when he's somebody else, he comes off as like a pedophile or something, or the guy in the van, or he comes off like the guy that visits the high school when he's like 35, or some shit like that in the parking lot. You know what I mean? But he plays a better villain. I almost want to say I wish they switched Matt Smith and Jared Leto around in this movie. I mean, could you imagine Jared Leto as Lucian, whatever fuck name,
Lucian
and Matt Smith as Morbius?
It
would have been better than Leto.
It would have been better, yeah. I mean, well,
okay, it won't fit. It won't fit. It's like putting Jello in a glove. It doesn't mean anything, but it would have been better than the shit that went in that glove. And again, Jared Leto is not a good guy character. I'm sorry. Even when he's a villain in the Joker, he I mean, I don't care for his Joker.
Oh God, it was terrible.
But you know what? That was more natural than him as Morbius. I hate to say that. Let's be honest. He comes off as creepy and greasy, and he should stick to creepy and greasy and not being the good guy.
I just figured I'm just done with him. Like I'm so sick of him and his method acting bullshit. Like it's just, he's not that good of an actor. And this whole method acting thing, just like Robert Pattinson said, it seems like some people use method acting as an excuse to be an asshole.
Yes. I mean, it also to phone it in.
Yeah. It's just
like trying to think of who is a really terrible method actor.
Well, I mean Jared Leto. That's a good
Jared Leto, yes. Jared Leto. Trying to think who else here. I mean, there's a couple of good ones, but they're rare. Daniel Day-Lewis is one. I mean, and Christian Bale are both, I believe, method actors. I could be wrong.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I still love what you heard the story about when they were making Marathon Man. What about Laurence Olivier and Dustin Hoffman?
No.
So Dustin Hoffman comes in and he's like sleep deprived, and he says, and Laurence Olivier asks him, he's like, "What's wrong?" And Dustin Hoffman says, "Oh, well, my character's supposed to be sleep deprived, so I got into character for the shot." And then Laurence Olivier just says to him, he's like, "My dear boy, you should try acting."
Yeah, again, very few actors really can pull it off well.
Well, yeah, and also there's another one too. I was listening to. Do you watch Succession?
Yeah, better believe I do.
Okay, so I just been getting into it myself. I'm on the 3rd season now, and but Brian Cox was on with Ari Melber a few months back, and he was talking about one of his one of his co-stars on the show, and he was talking about how the guy's like he's really into the method acting thing, and Brian Cox he's like, I just don't understand that. He's like, at the end of the day, it's just make believe.
It's like Jared Leto will lose all this weight. No, excuse me, gain weight for playing the guy that kills or tried to kill President Reagan. You know, I don't know if you saw that movie. Again,
No.
Again, he's good at being creepy and greasy.
Yeah.
Don't be the good guy. In fact, you're not a main act. Very rarely, he cannot really pull off being the main character in a movie.
No, definitely
he just can't. He's a background character, a side character, a B character. He's the number 2. He's going to be Robin, not Batman. And he's not even barely Robin. He's more like a phone-in Alfred or something at this point. But forget it. Don't use him for fucking anything else as a main character. You know. No, this is a straight to folks. This was a straight to video. Wait for it if you really want to watch this terrible movie. Wait till it's on a streaming platform, or say, well, I'm not gonna tell you to sell the high seas, but it's just not worth paying.
No,
I won't even buy this at the bargain. It's not even. You know what? This is not. Is it like a stocking stuffer for somebody you hate at the Christmas party? Okay, that's what that's what it is. Don't bother with this movie. Wait, just wait.
Yeah, and like I said, it's not even that it's bad. Like all these people talking about how it's the worst. It's not the worst movie ever. It's just It's just boring. It's just there's nothing worth watching it. I mean, I guess some of the effects are pretty cool. I like how they did the Morbius design. It's very true to the comics. I thought that looked good, but other than that, it's just there's nothing else to this.
It's soulless.
Yeah. I mean, not even Michael Keaton's. Even Michael Keaton is just like so pissed off that he's in this movie.
Yeah, right. It's just, again, the special effects are really good. They are really good. But you know what? It's like they put in this quote unquote movie is a sequence of special effects that just happens to have a movie in there somewhere.
Yeah.
It's somewhere in there, but it's not there. Okay, it's like I said, it looks more like a video game. When I saw them fight, I was expecting a health bar to show up or something, and something like you would see in a video game.
Right.
Because I'll go ahead, and if people dispute me on this, compare this to a regular video game with cutscenes.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. I'm sorry, the acting is just as bad. No, again, there's some good Sony video games that do have good acting, like Last of Us. But it does not look like a movie to me. Again, my mother comes in and thinks I'm playing a video game.
Yeah.
That's how bad it is. There's no, it's a wasted potential. That's what that's what should be on the box cover of this movie. Wasted potential.
Yeah.
What more can you say? But it's wasted. You wasted Matt Smith. You wasted Jared Harris. I would dare say you even wasted the fake Greek kids. Okay, because you wasted that. I don't think you wasted Jared Leto. I think Jared Leto unfortunately plays Jared Leto in some of these. When he doesn't really go in character, he goes into as Jared Leto. Because have you ever seen Jared Leto in real life when they show him when he's not acting? He kind of acts like this character when he's not a vampire. Like he's been up all night and he's got no personality whatsoever. And
it's
absolutely. Sort of like, and unfortunately, you're seeing this with more and more actors that they don't play the character, they play so and so as I'm trying to think of what the hell's that actor's name who was in you know what, I hate when I have brain fart. Like Nicolas Cage will play Nicolas Cage.
Yeah. Well, Derek used to say that whenever Nicolas Cage is being lazy, he just falls back on doing an Elvis impersonation.
Right. or George Clooney is going in and he's playing George Clooney
Oh yeah, all the
as
time.
this, and I'm saying you're saying this now with, in a way, I don't think Jared Leto is a method actor anymore. I think he's just given up and I'm just gonna be me. Nobody can tell the difference. I have no personality. I'm cardboard.
Mhm.
No, the Hollywood system's gonna pay me because this is probably a tax write-off for something for the studio.
Yeah.
They need a loss somewhere because they made a lot of money over here in some movies. They're rolling in that Hotel Transylvania movie.
Right.
Movies money. They're rolling it, which that amazes the shit. I mean, that makes a lot of money. But you ever seen Hotel Transylvania?
No.
It's an animated movie with Adam Sandler, and that movie made more fucking money than these things. This shit, okay? And so that's what it is. This is a tax write-off, some sort of shelter. You're gonna watch. You're gonna read in the Hollywood Reporter somebody arrested because this was all done for embezzlement or some, money laundering.
Yeah, it's just not that good.
No.
Yeah, that's it. That's all there is to say about it. It's just
it's a bad movie, folks.
It's a bad movie. It's not even aggressively bad. It's just so mediocre and just such snore. And
in fact, you know what? Stop. I think we should pull back the word bad because there are bad movies that are worth watching because they're that bad. Like Santa versus the Martians. That's bad. Okay. The Lost in Space movie. That's bad. Okay. This is not bad though. Bad is like, oh, that movie fucking stinks.
Right.
That movie shit. This is not shit. This is basically
when a really bad movie, it's the kind of thing you tell your friends, like, oh my God, we have to watch this. It's so terrible.
Right. It's like you want a really good steak, but you decided to go to Denny's. Something like that. You want a good hamburger, and so you decided to go to McDonald's.
Yeah.
Or something like that. This is the McDonald's of superhero movies.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's like it's a chicken nugget. Okay. It's not even a real chicken tender, and it's not a shitty chicken nugget. It's like high school cafeteria chicken nugget.
Yeah.
You're not getting nothing out of this. These are tater tots. It's not even a lemon of a movie.
Yeah, it's just bad. All right. Anyway, Johnny, I think that's all we have to say about Morbius. Do you got anything you want to promote? Anything you want to direct people towards?
No. But hey, Liz, yes, there is something. This time of year at your local animal shelters is when they start to raise money for the fall. If you have any extra money to donate to your local animal shelter or time, they really could use volunteers. Please do so. Look up your local animal shelter.
Okay, yeah, very good, very good. And don't just adopt an animal because if you're not serious about it, because there was that whole thing going on with a lot of people adopting during the pandemic. So don't do that.
I see a lot of returnees. We don't. My mother and I and my aunt, we go to our local shelter. We donate blankets because they really could use blankets. And there was a lot of dogs and cats that were adopted while the pandemic that have been returned. So again, if you have time to donate, they really could use help. If you can just foster something, that would be great. But don't rent this fucking movie.
Yeah, definitely not. All right, Johnny. Well, thanks so much for coming back on. I would say I'm sorry I made you watch this, but you're the one who asked me about it. So
hey, listen. Somebody had to take one for the team.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd be more than happy to do it. And next time, I'm just gonna drink more liquor.
Yeah. All right, Johnny. Well, thanks so much for coming back, and got to have you come back again. Hopefully, talk about a better movie next time.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, that does it for this episode of Superhero Cinephiles. SuperheroCinephiles.com is the website. We are Super Cinema Pod on Twitter, on Twitter and Instagram. And if you sign up for the Patreon account, we've by the time you're listening, there will hopefully be more, but we're starting to do the Superhero Cinephile Book Club companion podcast, which are exclusive episodes where I'm doing reviews of comic books and graphic novels. You subscribe on Patreon for any amount and you'll get access to those episodes. Thanks so much for listening, and we will talk to you next time. If you enjoyed the Superhero Cinephiles, then you'll also love my companion podcast, the Superhero Cinephiles Book Club. All my Patreon subscribers get access to this exclusive podcast where I review superhero comics and graphic novels. Not sure what comics you want to read next or what you should dive into? I've got you covered on that. I'll be doing reviews, recommendations, and also talking to you about useful entry points if you're interested in reading some comics but don't know where you should start. Plus, you'll get access to all episodes of the main show a week before everyone else. On all of this for as little as just $1 a month. All you have to do is go to patreon.com/supercinemapod and you can sign up at any subscription amount to get started. Thanks so much for your support, and please don't forget to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts.
Thank you for listening. And as always, good night, good evening. God bless.